you threw away the motel key. I wish it never meant nothing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
We get to go to Indianapolis this week. It's so exciting. It's our favorite annual tradition. Well, it's an annual tradition.
I love the Circle City.
That's an inside joke from our Patreon show.
Indianapolis is known as the Circle City, as you may not have known, but I do enjoy going there. I like the facilities. I like the building. It's an easy drive. It's not so easy, Tom. It's not so easy of a drive after the game when we choose to drive back home that night and you leave at 3 a.m. from Indianapolis and get back to Columbus at like 6 a.m.
We're not doing that this year.
No, we are not.
That's good. Yes, we are planning on staying in Indianapolis Saturday night and then driving back and being back for the college football selection show, which is on Sunday.
And that begins at noon, which is still an early wake-up call, but, we'll make it, and we'll find out, although we'll probably know before then in terms of, like, Ohio State's performance against Wisconsin will give us a clue.
Yeah.
LSU's performance against Georgia will give us a clue. Cincinnati's performance against Memphis, so we'll have a pretty good idea, but until you see everything up there, you're like, even last year, watching for the playoff announcement, you're like, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe? No.
Nope.
It's Alabama.
Nope.
So, the Big Ten, all Big Ten teams have come out. I wanted to talk to you about this. Chase Young, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year. He was not a unanimous selection from the Big Ten coaches. And now, just so people know, you can vote for your own players. Somebody did not vote Chase Young as one of the top 4 defensive linemen in the Big Ten, because you don't just vote for 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles. You vote for 4 defensive ends. And if you look at the first team defensive line, all Big Ten, I believe they're all defensive ends.
Yes, the first team and basically the second team too, yes, which is so immensely stupid.
Yes, and it tells you exactly how much they pay attention. But somebody was obviously paying attention to leave Chase Young out. How you can have, I'm going to put 4 other guys here rather than Chase Young. It's the most egregious error in coaching of the year, and a year where there's been many egregious coaching errors.
Yeah, it's like someone just based it on I just watched week 10 of the college football season, and I didn't see that guy do anything. So I don't know who these people are even talking about. Yeah, it's just a matter of which of we don't know who.
Yeah.
But if I had to narrow it down to 2 kind of catty, kind of petty coaches who might have seen Chase Young play in person the last couple weeks,
right?
I think I'd feel pretty good about putting my money on one of those 2.
Here's my thing. You try to go through and see, like, which guy stands out on a third-team defensive line that shouldn't be there. And one of them is Carlo Kemp, defensive tackle for Michigan, who started this year, but really did very little. The other guys on that third team, Raekwon Williams, defensive tackle, Khalil Davis, defensive tackle from Nebraska, Devon Hamilton, Robert Windsor, all defensive tackles. They all are known quantities and did stuff. Carlo Kemp kind of stands out to me, Michigan defensive tackle. I don't know who else in the Big Ten would be like, you know what? That guy's one of the top 4 defensive linemen in the Big Ten. I can't think of anybody. I can think of one person who might put him there. And that same person is probably the one person I could also think of who would leave Chase Young off.
Who could that be?
Ryan Day.
Ryan Day did just see Carlo Kemp up close and personal.
That's what I'm saying. Ohio State only rushed for like 240 yards on Michigan or something.
Yeah, Michigan held Ohio State under 60 this year. This is a vastly improved Michigan defense.
Right, so I'm thinking, you know what? I was probably impressed by that guy. And Chase Young didn't do squat.
That's true. That's true. He's maybe one of the most disappointing performances of the year, that he was unable to have, just a bunch of... he was like, those bridges where they just lock bicycle locks to them?
Right.
And there's just like thousands of them, and you're like, this bridge must weigh like 3,000 pounds more than it did when it was constructed, just because of all these stupid bicycle locks. That was Michigan's game plan, was just like snap bicycle locks to Chase Young in the form of offensive tackles.
They had him locked all over him and hanging on for dear life, and really, you know how there's different ISO cams and stuff that ESPN will do. Mm-hmm. You should have just done a Chase Young cam to see like how many guys he has to go through just to get there a split second late, or how many guys are holding on to him. They really missed, because the khaki cam that they've done with Jim Harbaugh, that's dumb. Yeah, you should have done a Chase Young holding cam.
Yeah, that was like watching one of those like kung fu movies where the guy has to fight through like 7 henchmen to get to the bad guy, and it was just he's just karate chopping people all over the place. But these guys keep coming. Where are all these guys coming from?
Yep, and so we can continue to go through the defense. Malik Harrison, Jordan Fuller, Jeff Okudah, all first team as well. You had Damon Arnett on the second team, and Devon Hamilton and Sean Wade on the third team. And then you had like Pete Werner and Tuff Borland, Baron Browning, Deshaun Cornell, B.B. Landers, all honorable mention. I believe that's 12 guys earning some kind of mention on the defense. The only guy who didn't would be the defensive end opposite Chase Young, because there's never really a set starter there. Right, yeah, they've had like 7 different guys there. Yeah, so nobody there is going to earn that. But everybody else, even your 2 middle linebackers, get some honorable mention. So that's very impressive.
Other than Chase Young not being unanimous, did one Ohio State player's place on this list strike you as particularly egregious?
Well, I could say Sean Wade or Devon Hamilton being third team, but Sean Wade should have been second team.
Yeah, Sean Wade, like Devon Hamilton should have been. Devon Hamilton is probably a first team defensive tackle,
right,
but they don't do it that way. Devon Hamilton is not first team because they do the voting in a stupid way. Sean Wade is not at least second team because people are dumb. Yeah, people have not paid attention to him this year.
Do the voting after the Michigan game and put him on first team. Yeah. Look at the difference in defenses from Ohio State between having Sean Wade and not having Sean Wade. And you could go ahead and put him in front of Lavert Hill. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Antoine Winfield, the defensive back of the year, in front of Jeff Okudah. He has the interceptions, though. And that's what Okudah doesn't have. And as we know, stats.
Yeah, I mean, Antoine Winfield has had a very nice year, but Antoine Winfield has had statistically the best year of a Big Ten defensive back.
There you go.
Antoine Winfield is demonstrably not the best Big Ten defensive back this year. I mean, that's just look at the NFL draft and look at where Jeff Okudah is going to get picked. And Jeff Okudah is by far the best corner in the Big Ten this year, and that's okay. Yeah, that doesn't mean that Antoine Winfield's not a very good player and didn't have a very good year, but that's one that you're going to look back on 5 years from now, and it's going to be like, what was Michael Thomas as a senior? Wasn't he like third team All Big Ten?
Third team honorable mention.
Yeah. That's when you're just going to look back on and go, oh man, that was extremely dumb.
Well, and there's been other Ohio State first round cornerbacks who were second team or third team, and these will be some more. Offensively, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Tom, Justin Fields, Ohio State quarterback. Mm-hmm. Not a bad job by him. But again, he is also not a unanimous first-team guy by either the coaches or the media, which means somebody went with, I guess, Tanner Morgan, who is the second-team guy, as the first-team quarterback, which that seems like you're trying to make a statement, but it's
fine. Tanner Morgan has had a very good year. Tanner Morgan doesn't have, he's got very good wide receivers, but he doesn't have the rest of the team around him that Justin Fields has. So, okay, I guess that's I can see it. I don't agree with it, but I guess I can kind of see it.
Jonathan Taylor gets the running back of the year award over J.K. Dobbins.
Because reasons.
He's turned it on a little bit, but we saw what happened when the two met together, and J.K. Dobbins outshone Jonathan Taylor by a wide margin. And this is, Dobbins is maybe like 80-some yards behind Taylor, but he doesn't play much in the fourth quarter, and Taylor plays more in the fourth quarter. But when they were on the same field together, I know who the best back was.
Yeah, I think that seemed pretty clear that day. And again, J.K. Dobbins is not running against as good a defense as Jonathan Taylor was, but yeah, I think I would probably take J.K. Dobbins over Jonathan Taylor there.
What I did like is Jonah Jackson was All Big Ten first team by the coaches. Wyatt Davis is All Big Ten first team by the media. And the rest of the offensive line was each member of the offensive line, the rest of them made one or the other second team. Mm-hmm. So you had all 5 starters on the offensive line garnering at least second team All Big Ten honors, as they should have. Tom, I have a question, though. You have Ben Bredesen, Michigan guard, first team. John Runyon, Michigan guard, first team. Why weren't they able to run the ball better if you've got 2 first-team guys and a second-team guy in center, Cesar Ruiz, and a third-team guy and guard, Michael Onwenu? Why, Tom, weren't they able to run the ball better, including an honorable mention guy in Jalen Mayfield? All of their offensive linemen are getting mentioned, but Tom, why can't they run the ball better?
With third-team All Big Ten running back Zach Charbonnet, voted by the conference media. Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Is that a real thing? Did I not see it? What? Oh, my goodness.
That is a real thing. That is a whole... Is that just
emotion. Jim Harbaugh?
Jim Harbaugh's not media. Yeah, I don't... Must be the bootlicking Michigan media. I mean, I don't know how
that must be. Holy cow.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. Like, that seems like, well, it's Michigan, so they must have good offensive linemen and a good running back because it's Michigan. So therefore, they have a good offensive line and good running backs. And it's like, well, but if you watch, that's not really true. No, well, it's Michigan, so...
Zach Charbonnet,
I'm
flummoxed.
I broke Gerd. It is
fantastic. I have to go look at those numbers again to see exactly where he is. And he is 14th in the conference in rushing.
I mean, I think that the general ranking, the order of Michigan's offensive linemen is probably correct-ish. Like, Bredesen is probably their best offensive lineman. I don't know that I put Runyon second, but, having like Cesar Ruiz there, I would say Cesar Ruiz might be their second best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't like Mayfield, I don't get that at all.
No. And, it's just honorable mention, but somebody's still putting him.
Someone had to write his name down.
Yes. That's a bit much.
That is a mood right there.
J.K. Dobbins, first team All Big Ten, as you would expect. And then you have
Master Teague, third team All Big Ten by the coaches.
We talked about it a few weeks ago, and the media.
Yeah.
We talked about a few weeks ago, would he be in there? And he is. I believe he is first in the Big Ten in rushing in the fourth quarter, and I think 4th or 6th nationally in rushing in the fourth quarter. And so that was good to see him there. Chris Olave also gets that nod. Luke Farrell got it by the coaches. He's honorable mention by the media. And so I think that is, is that 10 starters? The only one who didn't would be the ex-receiver, who didn't get some sort of a nod from the coaches or the media. So again, there's 10 starters on offense getting at least 9 starters getting third team at least.
Yeah.
And then KJ Hill was the other guy who got honorable mention on both teams. Not quite the year he expected, but I don't think he's super upset about it.
I think KJ Hill is probably enjoying his year as a senior.
Is that right?
Yeah, I get that sense that, he's still been he's not piled up huge numbers this year because the offense has changed a little bit, but he's been an active part of the offense. I mean, he just scored a touchdown at Michigan. It feels like he's had 2 receptions but 1 touchdown every single game this season. It's just if you just asked me to put together his stats, I'd be right now, 25 catches and 9 touchdowns. It just seems like he's just in the end zone every game.
His average touchdown catch is 4 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of the awards, the huge one here that shocked me, the Ford Kinnick Leadership Award went to Doug Schlereth in Indiana. What do you think about that, Tom?
I have of all of the opinions I have, that is definitely the strongest. I mean...
What is the opinion, Tom?
It's the amount of leadership that he showed. I mean...
Is Doug Schlereth a player? Is he like an administrator? Is he a coach?
Well, he's with Indiana, which they've won 8 games this year. I have to assume he's related to Mark Schlereth, former Denver Broncos offensive lineman and ESPN personality. And so I'm going to guess that, he's demonstrated some pretty good leadership this year.
Good for him. The Thompson Randall L. Freshman of the Year, David Bell.
Can we not use these stupid names that they have? Like the extremely stupid names?
I only mentioned David Bell because Ohio State had offered him, and was it an offer, or was it come to camp and we'll see? He feels like one that's going to be like, oh yeah, him and Rondale Moore are like the two that got away that Purdue has. So I think he put up 1,100 yards receiving this year.
It just felt like every week you'd get that thing from the Big Ten with here's the players of the week, and every year David Bell was the freshman of the week.
86 catches, 1,035 yards, 7 touchdowns.
That seems good.
That's pretty good. Now, granted, 100 of those receptions should have gone to Rondale Moore, and maybe his numbers will drop next year down to 70.
Yeah.
And 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good get by them. The receiver of the year, Rashad Bateman, I don't have a problem with that. He had put up good numbers, and it was going to be either him or Tyler Johnson, so they should have just shared it. The quarterback of the year, Justin Fields, we expected that. Offensive lineman of the year, Tristan Wirfs at Iowa. I didn't think he was all that great when I saw him this year, but who was? Chase Young, defensive lineman of the year, that. Micah Parsons, linebacker of the year. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, who else is it going to be? Joe Pachi?
Yeah.
Joe Pachi. Let's talk about the kicker of the year, Tom. Mm-hmm. No. Punter of the year, no. Specialist of the year, Javon Leake, Maryland, who declared for the NFL as he is allowed to do, as everybody at Maryland should do, as quickly as possible. Tom, we have not talked about the Dave McClain Coach of the Year on this show, as voted by the Big Ten media, which went to Ryan Day, Ohio State Buckeyes, giving Ohio State Big Ten Coach of the Year 1 year in a row.
Yes, that's arguably the most shocking streak in all of college football right now. It was nice to see that the coaches did not vote for Ryan Day. No. They gave it to PJ Fleck, which, I guess, but Ryan Day, we talked about this on Tuesday. I get it. PJ Fleck has had a very good year, and PJ Fleck is a very good coach. Ryan Day is doing something right now that Urban Meyer could not do. Urban Meyer could not do the thing that Ryan Day just did. Urban Meyer is a pretty darn good coach, so...
It's not good enough to win the Big Ten Coach of the Year award, though.
It seems to go undefeated all the way through and be playing for a conference championship, Urban Meyer should have won it in 2012 for doing this. Yep. He didn't. But Ryan Day just did it and is doing it in a way that, this is not like any of Urban Meyer's teams. They all had either a slip-up or a real close game where they narrowly escaped. This has just been welcome to the wood chipper all season long. And that is, the talent has been there. This type of talent has been on this team for a number of years. And it's been, some years the offensive line has been a little better. Some years the quarterback's been a little better. Some years the receivers have been better. Whatever. This has been a very talented core for a long time. They've never come close to doing this, and I don't know what you attribute that to other than coaching this year.
Yeah, all they had to do is murder everybody they played this year. Mm-hmm. Who is more likely to win it next year?
Urban Meyer.
Ryan Day or Greg Schiano?
Next year, Rutgers is going to be extremely bad next year. Greg Schiano will win the Coach of the Year in 2021 when Rutgers goes 4-8 thanks to a soft non-conference schedule and catching 2 teams and
getting the worst of the West.
Yeah, they'll have a weak schedule and they'll play 3 teams that have had the flu all week, and then they'll win 4 games, and that will be the achievement of the year.
All right, Tom, so let's talk about this Big Ten championship game between Ohio State and Wisconsin. I kind of feel like the Buckeyes are. I get the sense that they're almost like hanging on by a thread, like tendons wise, like Justin Fields, Shaun Wade, Damon Arnett, all of these guys that if you lose any of them, it's really, really bad, and they're all banged up. Justin Fields with a sprained MCL, going to wear the bulky knee brace. Shaun Wade banged up. Could have played last week. They held him out. Could play this week. We'll see. He's probably more necessary last week than this week.
Yeah.
Damon Arnett just has to play through pain, and he's tough, and he has no problem doing that. But there's some banged up dudes, and after you get done playing Wisconsin, you are more banged up than any other game of the year.
This is a very good time to have 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
After a Wisconsin game, Ohio State has gotten Wisconsin at 2 very good times this year. Once right before a bye week, and once right before a couple bye weeks. That's when you want to play them, because there are certain teams that they talk about how this is the most physical game of the year, and we play and that Wisconsin's on that list for sure. In the Pac-12, it used to always be Stanford. You talked about like the Stanford body blow, and the week after you play Stanford, everyone always lost after the week after they played Stanford. This is the third tough, big, physical team that Ohio State's played in a row. And, that's going to take a toll on you. They need to get through this game. They need to win it. They need to win it with probably some style points to stay number one. But, this is a game that this is not like a spring game where you just need to get through healthy, but getting through this game healthy is like number 1A on the to-do list behind winning with a little bit of style.
Yeah, with Justin Fields being in the bulky sleeve brace, you wonder how much he will run. They may not even want him to run at all.
Yeah,
I bet stay back there, hand it off, and just throw the ball downfield or throw it wherever. Just let's not get into a place where you are running for your life and you get tackled on your knee. Let's be as safe as possible while trying to be as productive as possible, because what we can't do is lose you. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say you can lose anybody else, but pretty much compared to him, you can lose anybody else. You cannot lose him. And so just be careful with him is what I would say. Now, Tom, here's something for you. You mentioned these 3 games all in a row. Penn State, they won 28-17. Michigan, 56-27. There's a pattern here, Tom. Mm-hmm. Ohio State's points double each time, while the opponent only goes up 10 points. So if that follows this week, we're looking at a score of 112-37.
I'm hearing bet the over. Is that what I'm hearing?
The over being 55.
Yeah.
So you might want to bang that over if Ohio State is going to score 112 points.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way. If Ohio State scores 112 points, not only will the over cash, but also Ohio State, I would feel you might want to parlay that with Ohio State being the number 1 seed in the
there you go.
college football playoff.
It's going to be a fun day, just overall. We'll start it early in the car on the way to Indianapolis, listening to the Big 12 championship game. Kind of get an idea of where things stand there with Oklahoma and Baylor. And then you've got the other important games.
Yes, this is a weekend when you've actually got all the games matter to Ohio State. Like, they all have a direct impact on Ohio State. That starts Friday night with the Pac-12. Utah plays 8 o'clock against Oregon. Utah, if they win, certainly has a claim for that number 4 spot, and there's a whole bunch of variables that go into this. I wrote about that earlier this week. It's like, well, if Utah wins, they're in, unless Georgia wins, or unless Oklahoma wins by a decent margin. So that's Friday night. You've got Baylor, Oklahoma at noon. That's, the winner is, if Oklahoma wins reasonably big, Oklahoma's probably going to jump Utah, probably. And that only matters if LSU beats Georgia and knocks Georgia out. Baylor probably needs some more help. I mean, they have not played a great non-conference schedule, so that's not going to, that puts them in a really needing a lot of help. Baylor might need LSU to win and Oregon to win and Baylor to win in order to get in. But I mean, they're certainly in the picture.
This is a tradition. like no other, where, we get to Indianapolis and everybody gets there in time to watch the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just hang out, eat some cookies, drink some Diet Coke, eat some popcorn, and watch Georgia LSU, and then we'll probably do like a pregame at halftime.
Yeah, we'll generally do our pregame show at halftime of that game. We are generally blessed to not have the volume on those TVs, so you don't have to hear Gary Danielson politicking too hard for the fact that these should be the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country.
Should Georgia get in with a loss?
I mean, that was the conversation last year.
It's
and
so disgusting.
And I still remember how hard Kirk Herbstreit was stumping for Georgia, and it was like, I
tweeted this
out.
out.
They're not that great.
Yeah, I tweeted this out after the game, after last week. I was driving home, listening to LSU's post game, and the guy was upset about how biased the Fox broadcast is, the Fox network is towards the Big Ten and Ohio State. And it's like, well, yes.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
ESPN is biased towards their business partners, and the fact that the SEC has reaped all of these rewards and this attention without thinking none of it was undue, and just now you're seeing that, oh my gosh, networks tout their own business partners. How? That's not fair.
It seems almost impossible to believe that could possibly happen. I mean, can you cite one example outside of Fox of that ever happening?
No, and I could even, ESPN, no, of course not. CBS, no, of course not.
No, never.
Fox is the first, and they want their teams in, and they tout them by saying they're good. And that's not true.
That's not true at all.
Nope. Do they even realize, you know what the SEC ought to do? Online classes.
I thought you were going to say secede.
Well, you can do that. I mean, you can't spell secede without SEC.
True. And then nightcap, along with the Ohio State game primetime on Saturday, you have number 23 Virginia with its 3 losses.
Yes.
Including to Miami, going in
Miami, who lost to Florida International.
To play Virginia with a transitive loss to an airport. What goes to the ACC championship game where they are a 4-touchdown underdog against Clemson.
I still trying to imagine the scenarios, what would happen if Virginia wins this, and it kind of melts your brain as to the amount of teams that would just rise up, and somehow their stink would stink less, and they would get into that 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, if Clemson somehow wins this, and LSU wins and Ohio State wins, or if Virginia wins, if LSU and Ohio State win and Clemson loses, I mean, you get this. It turns into like it's a mad world, like between Virginia, the winner of the winner of the Big 12 championship game. If the LSU Georgia game is close, you're going to hear some real dumb arguments about how Georgia deserves to get in because they just lost very close to LSU, who we know is a good team.
Wisconsin
in the SEC.
Winning would have a better argument than Georgia losing.
Yes,
I mean they would have the same number of losses, but Wisconsin would have a Big Ten championship over and a win over number 1 Ohio State.
Yep.
That would be a heck of a jump from 8 to 4.
It would be
8 to 3 because Ohio State would drop down to 4.
Yeah,
that's holy cow.
If you have a pretty good sense for what's going to happen if it's kind of chalk on Saturday, and then it's Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, unless one of them really blows the team out and then the other one wins real close, and then 4 is probably Oklahoma jumping Utah, but maybe Utah. Yeah. That's kind of the chalk response, the chalk result, and then once you start shifting variables around, it can get pretty crazy pretty quick.
Yeah, and if it is chalk, then it is likely Ohio State and Atlanta, based on the geography of the opponents.
Yes, if Ohio State wins, say Ohio State and LSU win by very similar margins, and the top 3 stays the same, Ohio State's either going to be playing Utah, Oklahoma, or Baylor. All of those would be games that Ohio State would play in Atlanta because the whole point of it is they don't want to play what would be functionally a road game against the number 4 seed. So, and again, this is all. It's nothing is in stone. No. So don't race out and buy your airplane tickets.
Wait until noon on Sunday.
But, if you're thinking about going, have your airplane tickets for Atlanta set up, ready to hit purchase as soon as they show Ohio State number 1 and where, that they're playing in the Peach Bowl. That would be the one that I would assume you should be ready to go.
Purchase them purchase them on Saturday. You've got 24 hours.
That's true.
So to cancel. So just get 2 sets. Buy them in both places. Cancel the one that doesn't end up being the site.
We did that last year. We did. We bought tickets for the Rose Bowl at the Big Ten championship game, and then we're prepared to switch it, but we got real cheap flights to the Rose Bowl because no one else was ready to do that yet. That's actually a pretty good, there's a little life hack for you.
There you go, and just don't forget to cancel them.
Yes, that is also important. Otherwise, you may end up going to watch 2 teams you don't particularly care about.
Anything else this week, Tom? Oh gosh,
we should probably do a score prediction.
Prediction. I'm gonna let you. No, I'll go first, Tom, because I know you're probably gonna take my score, or you would take my score if I let you go first. So I'm gonna go first and take your score. I don't think they get to 50 like Justin Fields said, unless there's a defensive touchdown in the bag. So I'm gonna go 45-20 Ohio State. Tom, where are you? Oh, you don't look happy, Tom.
I don't look happy because we discussed this on our Patreon show, which we recorded just before this, and I had sort of been in like the 35-20 kind of range, 38-20, and as has happened several times this year, like as we start discussing and breaking down the position by position, it's like, wait, no, this is not going to be as close as I'm thinking. And so I landed on like 45-20 or 48-20. So I guess I'll take 48-20.
Wow, might as well go for 50.
I mean,
just make it 52.
With 52, that practically rounds up to 100. Yeah, I guess I'll go 48-20. I mean, that's the thinking there is the track is faster. You don't have rain, so it should be a little higher scoring for Ohio State than it was the last time. But that's also true for Wisconsin. Wisconsin has to be able to throw the ball in order to get Ohio State to back off of Jonathan Taylor. Because if Ohio State can just sit on Jonathan Taylor and the short routes like they did the first time, Wisconsin's just hosed and they got nothing. Wisconsin should be able to throw the ball enough to score a couple times against Ohio State. So, you get one turnover or a punt return or something like that, and or a kick return, and
blocked punt last time.
Blocked punt.
Ohio State has to be careful there.
Yeah, I mean, something in that range. I'll change it. I'll go 48-17, just so we have a little more differentiation there.
All right. They probably should score more. Ohio State should, but with Justin Fields being limited, maybe 45-48 is too many. Did you think about that, Tom? Would you like to change your score, Tom?
No, I'm locked in. I am where we are. I am where I am right now. You're not changing my mind again.
You're sticking with that 48-17, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Anytime I'm the one who's the high person,
it
always feels like something is weird and wrong.
So I am going 45-20, and you will need to see Thayer Munford and Brandon Bowen protect, and those inside blitzes that got home last time. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they will be more prepared this time. Also, that punt protection needs to be shored up, and Drew Crispin. Maybe what has hampered him this year has been a lot of the outdoor crappy weather.
Maybe.
And we'll see if that changes this week.
I can't imagine thinking this like a month ago, but Drew Crispin was honorable mention All Big Ten punter, and it was like, yeah, I mean, like if you told me that in mid-October, I would have started, I would have quit my job and just gone to lobby Congress about what a miscarriage of justice this was. And now it's like, yeah, I mean, he hasn't been great. It's defensible. All
right, so we've got our scores in. We have to hurry up and get inside because we were told that things might start at 6.
Okay.
So we will wrap this up, guys. All right. I'll edit all of this. Don't worry.
Probably not.
All right. So that'll do it. We will talk to you guys next from Indianapolis.
Naptown.
Circle City.